Welcome to this Marshall e-learning session where we'll be covering the FCA Dashboard system. To start this module, we'll be looking at some aims and objectives. We'll then learn a little more about the FCA, have a brief reminder of the various products and services we have on offer, and how we'll typically introduce them during the professional appraisal of the customer's part exchange vehicle. We'll then go on to look at the dashboard system and give you guidance of how to navigate this. We'll end with a brief summary. So the aims and objectives for this session are to understand how we introduce and offer our products and services, enable us to use the system correctly and follow the processes that we'll set out, and ensure that we treat our customers fairly and are always FCA compliant. At Marshall, we're authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA. In order to assist our customers in identifying suitable products and services, we complete fact finds in every case to establish a customer's suitability or eligibility for any of our products. We always provide details for each product or service to our customers so that they understand the pricing and terms. This includes any significant exclusions, limitations and cancellation rights before they proceed with any purchase. The customer is always under no obligation, and we will do all we can to provide further detail around any product or service if it's required by the customer. So now let's look at our first section, which is guidance for introducing products and services. The majority of our customers have a vehicle to part exchange when they come and visit us, and we still recommend planting the seeds for our various products and services at the stage where you're completing a professional appraisal of this vehicle. It may be that the condition of their current car will give an indication as to the type of products and services that may be of value to them. As you walk out with the customer to complete the professional appraisal, this can be a great time to talk to them about the way they funded their car in the past. It may be they already have a preference in relation to HP, PCP or any other type of funding option. Other questions that might help you identify which funding options you could introduce to the customer might include whether owning the vehicle outright is important to them, or asking how many miles they do a year or how often they typically change their vehicle. As you move around to the driver's side of the car, this will be the time you start to look at the condition of the alloy wheels and tyres, and this can be a great time to introduce our alloy wheel repair insurance and Marshall tyre insurance products. In this brief introduction, you may wish for the customer to know the type of damage that can be repaired on the alloy wheel and how many repairs they would be covered up to during the life of the policy. For tyre insurance, again, you may wish to make them aware of the number of tyres they can have replaced during the life of a policy and the types of circumstance the policy covers them for. As you move around the vehicle looking at the exterior and interior, there'll be opportunities to introduce SmartGuard paint protection and fabric protection. It may be that as you speak with the customer, you understand that the showroom look of the car is important to them, or that their lifestyle or the uses they have for the car could mean it would be of benefit to have a fabric protection. Another product that might appeal to people who want to maintain their car's appearance might be a Marshall cosmetic warranty. Remember that this product will repair small dents and scratches that can commonly occur during the ownership of a vehicle. As you look around their existing vehicle, it may be that you're able to identify the types of dents and scratches that would be covered under this type of policy when they have their new car. And although the majority of customers will have comprehensive car insurance for any car they purchase from us, it's worth understanding if the customer has considered that many insurers only pay out the trade value for the vehicle if it was to be written off or stolen. It may be that Marshall Asset Protection, where we'd pay the full purchase price of the vehicle or any outstanding finance, would be a valuable addition to have alongside their current insurance policy. So to briefly summarise, the Part Exchange Professional Appraisal is a great time to introduce many of the different products and services we offer. If the customer doesn't have a part exchange, it may be that we look to offer these different products or services as part of the qualification, and in certain cases where we're looking at products such as alloy wheel protection, it could be useful to introduce them during the static presentation of their new vehicle. Overall, the message would be that by the time you're reaching the FCA Dashboard fact find, you should already have a good understanding of the likely suitability and eligibility of the customer, making the fact find more of an opportunity to reconfirm the conversations you've already had and to recap any key points. So let's move on to the FCA Dashboard itself, showing you first the process for our insurance products. At this point, it's important to say that, like previous processes, the process of the insurance and credit fact finds to identify demands and needs should be completed before we go on any test drive of a vehicle with the customer. You will all be given login details to access this system, and when you've provided your username and password, you'll be taken to a landing page where you select the Launch FCA Tracker option to bring you to the main menu that you see here. Here you'll see a range of options on the right hand side, and these may vary based on your position within the organisation. And on the left hand side we'll have a reminder to our customers that it's important that we're transparent and competent during this fact find, and that it will help us ensure that we identify any demands or needs before any offer of credit or insurance products are made. With the customer now aware of the type of activity we're about to complete, you're ready to select the disclosure box to begin the process. With disclosure selected, you'll be given two options: to move through to discuss finance and funding options, or to look at our insurance products. For the purposes of this initial walkthrough, we're going to select insurance. You do this by simply checking the correct box, and with insurance selected, simply select OK. Now in the insurance system, the first page you see will look like this. You have two paragraphs of text to share with the customer, detailing what we're about to undertake and the reasons why. It's also important that we remind the customer at this stage that they're under no obligation to buy any of our products or services, but this fact find will help us develop an understanding of any demands or needs. For InquiryMax users, and for those customers who've already had their details recorded on this system, you can find their record by simply using the Select Record option at the bottom of the page. However, if this is a new customer, you simply enter their key details in the 4 text boxes at the top. With their postcode entered, you can then select the checkbox to the side of this text area to use the Lookup Postcode function. With the correct address selected, just press OK. With all these details entered, simply now move to the Save option in the top right corner of the screen, and with the customer's details saved, you'll see a number of options have now become available in the bottom right. The first one of these is the Customer section. This is where you'll be able to capture additional customer detail. If you're in the very initial stages of an inquiry with a customer, you may choose to come back and populate this at a later time. Even if you don't want to fill out all the additional information at this point, it can be useful to capture the phone number and email address. It's important to gather the email address, as with this box populated, any reviews or fact finds we complete and any documentation we view can be emailed to this address, ensuring the customer has a record of everything that we've discussed. You can see that at the base of the screen I'm now populating details as to the specific car itself, such as its registration number, registration date, and price. You'll also record who the salesperson is, typically yourself, business manager who will be assigned to this customer, and the month for handover. But again, as we mentioned, as some of this detail is likely to not be known yet, you can always come back and populate it later. And finally, you can select if they're a distance customer. If you choose yes, the system will provide some additional options, including the ability to send out information about our products by email. Now we would save this information and move on to the demand section. You'll see that demands can be selected from the bottom of this customer screen. However, if we head back to the disclosure section, for those of you who don't need to populate any further customer details, you can ignore the customer tab completely and simply move into the demands and needs section from this disclosure tab. The demands section on insurance contains 2 pages. The first of these, you will fill in a number of customer details, such as whether they're a private consumer or whether this is a business sale, the likely registration date of any new vehicle, the intended duration of ownership, the annual vehicle mileage that the customer anticipates completing, and of course the vehicle price that will have been pulled from our earlier input. As you move on to page 2 for demands and needs, this is where you'll find the majority of questions that make up our fact find. The system uses intelligent routing, which means that as the customer answers questions, it will remove any questions that become irrelevant. This means every time you go through this process with a different customer, the route you take and the questions you see may not be exactly the same. So before you use this system with a customer in a live environment, go onto the test site and make yourself familiar with all the different routes and all the different question types that are available. All the questions you see will be displayed in broadly the same way. You'll have the question on the top left of the box, the answer options towards the top right, and a space for any free text at the bottom of the question should you want to capture any notes about the customer's response. As mentioned before, this may only be a case of reconfirming details you've already discovered about the customer, but you simply select the correct answer option, in this case yes or no, and then again press the hashed box when you're ready to move on. To show you a run through, I'm going to suggest that the customer would answer no, they're not going to be using their new vehicle for taxiing, racing, etc. And the first question that the system will then generate is around, in the event of a total loss, does your motor insurance policy pay out either the original invoice purchase price or the outstanding finance balance, if that is greater? For this example, I'm going to say that the customer has an insurance policy that does offer new for old, so therefore the answer to this question is yes. By doing this, the system will then remove any further questions related to Marshall Asset Protection. The next section you can see relates to alloy wheels. Because my customer has answered yes that their new vehicle is fitted with alloy wheels, it will then ask, are they chromed or split rimmed, to see if our policy would be suitable and whether there may be a demand, and if so, what level of cover would be required. The system will then ask questions relating to tyres, asking what size of tyre is fitted to the vehicle, should the tyres be damaged, am I as the customer going to be responsible for the cost of any repairs or replacements, and have I got any existing products that would protect against this unexpected cost. We then move on to Smart Card, and asking did you have the interior or exterior protected on your current car. From there, we're asking whether the showroom finish and resale value of the car is important to you. With the previous answer suggesting that the showroom look and resale value of the vehicle was important to you, the system now asks about cosmetic warranty, Marshall Care warranty, and finally Marshall Assist. And based on all of the answers to these questions provided by the customer, the system does all the work for you, trying to understand and establish where there may be a demand or need. The final requirement is that you select recommendations at the bottom right of the screen, and with that chosen, you'll move to this view. Returning to the customer screen, it's advisable that you again select the save icon in the top right so you don't lose any of the responses that you've captured thus far. The next stage in the process would be to print the recommendations discussion document that the system generates. This will allow you to show the customer the areas that the system has identified that they may have a demand or need, and talk more broadly about our various products. Although your business manager will be able to have access to this information through the system, we would also advise that you print a document for their use, so that they can ensure that if they build an offer for a vehicle, that it's fully compliant and includes all the required products. If we look at the recommendation discussion document itself, it's very straightforward. You will see it lists all of the recommended products, breaking them down into those which are regulated and those which are unregulated. You will notice, based on the answers given earlier, that Marshall Asset Protection does not appear on this list. This is because the system understands that the customer already has another policy in place based on the answers that we've given, and so doesn't include this in our recommendations. That's the insurance fact find complete, and from the perspective of insurance products and services, the next time you would go onto the system would likely be at handover. This time you'd go to the main menu, and rather than selecting Disclosure, you'd choose Customer. Pick the date range in which the customer initially visited and would have been loaded onto the system, and then on the next screen you'll be able to select the correct customer from the customer records. With the correct customer selected, you'll see the recommendations we made as part of the fact finder shown on the right hand side of the screen, and it's an option beneath this that we wish to select now: Record Customers' Purchase Decisions. With this option selected, it will bring up each of the recommended products in turn. You can see here we have cosmetic warranty, and we're required to select the cover period the customer would like. We then choose whether they wish to purchase, decline, or defer this decision. It will then show you the retail price to the customer for the product, and we can then proceed to the next option. Now we're looking at tyre insurance. Again, we have the option to select the cover period, then we record whether the customer wishes to purchase this or decline. Again, it now shows the full price of the premium, and with that disclosed to the customer, we move to the next option. Here we're looking at alloy wheel, so again we'll select the cover period and record the customer's choice. Confirm the retail price as before and move on to the next. Some products require even more information. Here we can see in the very top left of this pop-up that it's the warranty product, so we have to pick whether it's a van, standard or prestige car. We then have to pick the cover period again before recording the customer's purchasing decision. We've shown you what will happen if the customer chooses to purchase a product, so let's now look at the other two options. The defer option would simply pause the process, meaning that it can't be completed until the customer has made up their mind. However, in the event that you select decline, it will then come up with a number of options. Do they decline because of the price, that the customer is okay with the risk, or do they prefer not to say? You simply select the relevant option and click OK, and then you progress to the next product. Let's do the same here for SmartGuard. So again, if we select on decline, you'll see the same options come up. Now we've got a customer response for each of the products, you'll return to the customer screen, but you'll see the products in the box on the right now have either a tick for those which have been purchased or a cross against them for those which have been declined. Even once the customer's responses have been gathered, there is the possibility they may change their mind. Let's show you what to do in these circumstances. You simply go to the product that they've changed their mind regarding, select the checkbox to the right of the description, and then you'll have the opportunity to change the answer. In this case, this product was previously declined, so the option available is to change it to purchase. Simply again select the cover period, make that selection, and you'll see that when we return to the customer screen, this product, Marshall Assist, will now have a tick next to it rather than a cross as before. Now let's show you how this would work in the opposite circumstance. Again, simply select the checkbox, and because this is a product that we'd previously accepted and wish to purchase, the option here is now to decline. With all changes made, remember now to use the save icon, which will save all responses but also give you a time and date stamp for this activity. And with this complete, you'll notice in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, as well as disclosure and demands, we now have an option called FCA Pack. The first option that will come up will be your advisor declaration, which as a sales executive or business manager is your confirmation that you will be going through the important elements of the pack with the customer and highlighting the importance of reading the policy summaries in full. Before using this in a live scenario with a customer, do use the test site to ensure that you're familiar with the layout of this document. As you can see, the document here highlights any important areas in grey and has areas for the contents of the report. Every report will have a section such as this, detailing who provides the products we offer, what services we can provide you with, how much you pay for the services, and who regulates us. It also gives details of what to do if you have a complaint. You'll see here each document also records the responses that the customer gave in relation to the questions asked during the fact find, and information on why we recommend these products. We then end with a detailed breakdown of all the products or services that the customer has decided to purchase. If you've captured the customer's email address, a copy of this document can be sent to them directly by email. However, if they haven't given an email address, you'll need to print a copy for their records. Anytime the customer makes any changes to anything they're purchasing, you will have to go back into the FCA pack option to generate a new version of this document. But once the final version has been decided on, you can then select the Declaration Signed option. This signed agreement again records all the key details. You can print this document off to sign in the spaces shown at the bottom of the screen, or if you're using a tablet or similar device, you can scroll to the bottom of this document and then use the Capture Signatures option shown here at the base. This then allows the customer and ourselves to sign directly onto the screen using the touchscreen interface. Once both signatures have been captured and submitted, they will then be electronically placed onto the document as shown here. As well as capturing all of these details electronically on the system, our dashboard does enable you to print out many of these documents. Speak to your management team for further details on which documents need to be printed and retained as part of the customer's file. With insurance now complete, let's have a look at the process for our finance and funding products. We should start by saying that if you're with a customer in a live environment, it's easy to select between your insurance and finance products just by using these checkboxes at the top of the customer screen. However, for this demonstration, let's show you the process from the start, going back again to the main menu. So we start by selecting Disclosure. However, this time we're going to select Finance and then click on OK. When you're on the finance side of the system, you come through to a different screen. Again, you'll see text detailed as our commitment to you. You should be sharing this with the customer before proceeding. As you will have typically been through the insurance products already, there's no need to enter the customer details again at the top of the screen. Simply select the Select Record option at the base of this screen and it will bring up all the details of your open customers. Simply select the correct record and then select Finance Eligibility at the bottom of the screen. This is the first finance eligibility screen where we begin our fact find. You capture key information about the customer, such as whether they are a private or business customer, their date of birth, their current motor insurance cover level, the intended period of ownership, the likely annual mileage, the type of vehicle they're looking to buy, whether it's a new or used car, whether they have a part exchange, and finally whether they're VAT registered. This information is then used by the system so it can understand which of our finance products the customer may be eligible for. After you've selected the Save icon in the top right hand corner, you can then select the Finance Suitability tab at the bottom of the screen to move on to the second phase. The second page is much like insurance in the sense that you simply work through the questions with the customer. The first of these is, how do you currently intend to fund the purchase of this vehicle? You'll notice that if you select bank or other loan, you're required to put details of where that loan is being sourced from before you're able to continue. As the system understands we've selected bank loan, it will now ask if you already have the funds in place. This is evidence of the system's intelligent routing. It then goes on to ask questions as to whether you'd like additional statutory rights, whether you'd like the flexibility to choose what you do with your vehicle, including having the right to outright purchase, and information such as, do you have any payments outstanding on your current vehicle? In this particular route, that's all of the questions that are required. When you've answered all of the questions, you'll see the option appears at the bottom of the screen to move on to view the suitable products. As we filled in details in this example for a private customer and gave the answer options you've seen on the previous screen, the system has evaluated that products such as personal contract hire and lease purchase wouldn't be suitable for this customer, but has said that options do include personal loans, PCP and HP. Now, with the fact find complete, much as we did with insurance, it's now time to go through the discussion document, printing this off and sharing the recommendations the system has with the customer. Before you use one of these documents with a live customer, we would suggest that you use the test site and generate a number of these to become familiar with them. But broadly speaking, the discussion document shows the options that the system has deemed suitable at the top of the first page, and the lower part of the first page will detail any that are not deemed suitable based on the answers the customer has provided. On the subsequent pages, the options that have been recommended will be broken down in a little more detail, providing the customer with a description of what the product actually is, and the typical advantages and disadvantages there may be if you choose to purchase using this method. Although the system records the answers to the fact find and the details contained in this discussion document, and your manager can access these through their desktop system, we do suggest as a best practice that you provide a printed copy of this discussion document to the manager so they can ensure that any offer they put together is fully compliant. Even with the discussion document completed with the customer, you may find that they have some questions about some of our finance products. For this reason, we've created the Finance Presentations option on the live version of the site. Accessed directly through the site, you can view presentations that give key detail around our most popular finance products. You can use these as a visual aid when you're talking with customers to explain exactly how our products work. Again, with the fact find now complete and the customer fully informed, you can now go on the test drive of their chosen vehicle. You'll return to the system later on to record their final purchasing decision. Although the systems look very similar, it is worth remembering there are a number of key differences when we talk to a customer about finance when compared to insurance. One of these is that even when a customer states they're paying cash, we have a legal responsibility to make a recommendation and include our figure within our initial offer. Also, the customer has a legal right to choose any credit product which has not been recommended, as well as those that have. But again, much like our insurance products, anything we discuss with them carries no obligation, and the purpose is to ensure that they can make a fully informed decision. Now, after the test drive is completed, with the customer deciding they wish to go ahead and buy the car, all that's left is that the sales executive or business manager go in and record the customer's purchasing decision in relation to finance. If the vehicle is being funded through sources outside of Marshall, then you simply select Loan, Cash or Other from the first drop-down box and then Save. If the vehicle's being funded through ourselves, it's likely now you will know the finance company, the finance type and all of the various details that have gone into making up their offer. You enter these on the first page here as shown, and then on returning to the main page, simply save these options using the save icon in the top right hand corner. Now you'll see you can access the Finance Pack option in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. And now the sales executive or business manager will take the customer through the contents of this document. The first page is the contents page, and this tells the customer that within this document they'll find details about the financial services we offer, the answers given as part of the financial needs analysis, the financial options the customer has, their finance choice, and finally the customer declaration. As we move through this document, you can see here that we have all of the answers that we captured as part of the fact find, such as the type of motor insurance and annual mileage the customer is likely to do, right down to their credit preferences at the base of the screen. Then, just like in the discussion document, we break down the various products the system has generated as suitable, finishing off with the details of the actual finance product you have chosen. The system can email this document directly to the customer. However, as mentioned before, if you haven't captured a customer email address, remember you will have to print this document in full. This document is typically 16 pages in length. All that now remains to finish off the process is we go back into Finance Pack, this time choosing the option to sign the declaration. Remember, this document can be printed and signed by hand, but for those of you using a tablet or similar device, you can scroll to the bottom of the screen and again input your signatures by using the touchscreen interface. With the signatures submitted, all that remains is to check that the customer and your business manager have all of the documentation they require. Having reviewed both the finance and insurance process, let's now summarise the key learnings. Remember that a test site is available, and you can use this test site to review all the different features and functions that we've just looked at. In fact, before you spend time with a customer on the live site, we recommend that you use the test site a number of times following a number of different pathways. This should help you become more familiar with the type of questions that are going to be asked and the type of likely outcomes that can occur. We hope this e-learning module has demonstrated how easy the system is to use and how intuitive many of the functions are. In fact, we feel that once you've had some time on the test site, by the time you're on the live system, you'll be able to work with a customer to complete the responses far more quickly than we've been able to in this module. Remember that we'll start gathering information about the customer long before we find our way onto the system, as part of the professional appraisal of their part exchange and so on. But if you're able to capture this information accurately and record the customer's responses on the system, it means that the system will do a lot of the hard work for you by generating recommendations around suitable products for both finance and insurance. You must complete the fact find for both before you go out on a test drive. This is another reason why it's advantageous that you're up to speed and able to work effectively before you're using the live site with a customer, as you'll want to avoid any unnecessary delays. Although there are some documents we are required to print, the majority can be retained electronically. This means they're easier to access and easier to share between a business manager and sales executive, for example. It means that everyone has great visibility of the type of things that need to be included to ensure we only provide compliant offers to our customers. And with many of our dealerships moving to Inquiry Max, the advantages for these users are even greater still. The processes you've just seen will be embedded within your Inquiry Max system, meaning that if you've already captured details such as the customer's information, this gets pulled through automatically, meaning you don't have to duplicate any workload or enter any data twice. Thank you for taking the time to watch this e-learning module relating to our FCA Dashboard. We hope that it will help you provide only compliant offers in future, while also delivering a fantastic customer experience.